Welcome back to a new episode here in SUALVI. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to make a freeze frame transition sort of thing, and this is gonna be sort of like a walkthrough, and we're gonna make these together. I have the idea on my head from another video that I saw, and yeah, so we're just gonna build that from the ground up. So make sure to have your Davinci Resolve open if you want to follow along with your clips. So we have these clips here, and you're not gonna hear the music right now because I have muted my desktop audio so that we don't have it bothering us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna transition to the freeze frame of these clips. So we're gonna bring this here of this guy right here walking into frame, and the way we're gonna do is first we're gonna have to rotoscope him or like mask him out and create two of them. So the way we're gonna do that is we can simply just copy and paste this, hold Alt, and we're gonna drag it like that. So we have our two images together. I guess you don't have to do that, you can just simply drag another copy on here later if you want. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna deactivate this one, and since this is a video, we want to have a freeze frame of the first frame too, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go, let's say, how long is it here, and I'm gonna hold Alt again, and I'm gonna hold it there and create a copy of this whole clip, and you'll see why in a second. And then here we're gonna drag these two because I want it to be, there's a beat, like a change of song here, and I'm gonna create a keyframe, or like I'm gonna hold Shift R, and that's gonna create a freeze frame of this part. And I'm gonna create the copy of these two just from now already, and we can bring these a little bit behind if we need, and instead of making it only 1 second, the whole thing is gonna take maybe, let me hear the song for a second. Yeah, we're gonna make these to be like a whole 2 seconds long from the time he comes into screen and all that stuff, and then we can add a glitch or whatever too. And the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna go to the color page on this clip. We could just select this one like that, and we're gonna color these, not color it. You can edit the color before you do any like changes if you want. I'm not gonna do it just for the tutorial sake, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here. If you have studio version, you can use the magic mask tool to do it quickly. If you don't, you're gonna have to use the pen tool right here, and we're gonna do these together. If you have a photo image, like an image editor, sort of like Photoshop or GIMP or anything like that, you can probably do this more easily there. You just export the image. I actually have a video of how to export like still frames as JPEG pictures or PNGs, however you want, and you can follow that. I'm gonna try to link it there. If you want to go that route, it might be a little bit easier because like Photoshop has like that selection tool that's pretty cool, that it's that you can do really easily. And I'm gonna actually just create sort of like a rough mask around these, and I'm not gonna actually use the shadow. Okay, so after, let's see, it probably took me like 3 minutes total to have him masked out like that, and you can see it here. And then we can right click here and create the alpha output. I sped, is that even a word? I just speed up through the process there earlier so that you don't have to like watch the whole thing. And you can see here we have that same frame, right? If I click I can activate the lower one too. So the way that I want to transition these is I'm gonna create the animation for, first of all, this is not gonna transition, this part is gonna transition first, this dude alone, and we want it to be, so the guy is gonna be right here on frame. Here's where the sort of like the song changes. So I'm gonna create the position for these here, the zoom probably, and the position, maybe the angle too. So I'm gonna like angle it a little bit as it comes in. Let's see, I don't think these, you can play around with the pitch too. Let's see. Okay, there, and we're gonna create, so that's where it's ending, right? And from here we can actually make it smaller. We're gonna bring it from the bottom, but we're also gonna adjust the pitch a little bit. So I want it to be sort of like, we'll see how it shows up. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure how this is gonna look. Whoops. There, and from all the way from the bottom. It actually could be a better idea to go into Fusion to do the animation for these. The reason behind it is that here we might not be able to adjust and like add ease ins and stuff, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna reset that, and I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna go into Fusion and open it in Fusion. And we are on that same keyframe. Let me right click here and take the high quality off because I'm recording. I don't want to use my RAM a lot. Make sure to playback, if you're screen recording, use it on half or maybe quarter so that you're able to like manage resources more efficiently. Oh yeah, that's the thing too though. Like I think, okay, let's test it out. If we animate this here like that, I'm not sure if it's gonna affect the mask or if it's gonna like stop taking it into account once we play around in Fusion. So we will see. Actually, what's the other transform? So we're gonna use this other transform, and by the way, to open that these, you press Ctrl M. And we're gonna go here and create the keyframes again for the position of Y and X to probably the zoom, rotation a little bit, and also the pitch is what we had played around with earlier. And right now it's affecting the whole image, but I think if we go back to the edit page in a second, it's not gonna be like that. So we're gonna have to see if it actually affects it or not. Like that, and the zoom is gonna be a little bit smaller, and then the pitch is gonna be like that, rotation like that, and bring it all the way down. We're gonna have to input our own value, so -1, and move it to the side, and then here we're gonna see it come in like that, which is kind of like not cool right now because we are seeing the whole image, but bear with me and it will look cool in a second. Then we're gonna go to this spline here and we can press F and then press T if you want to adjust like the ease in and out. So I want to eat it like that. So it's gonna be a little bit slower and then a little bit faster and then slower again. And then we can add motion blur here as, and the shutter angle 30, 46. The higher the quality, the better it's gonna be your motion blur, but the more resources it's gonna take too. Okay, let's go back into the edit page and see if it actually did anything cool. But it's gonna have to render too. Well, that's not actually the effect that I was going for, but it somehow did something interesting too. Which it's sort of like a double effect too, I guess. And we can actually reanimate these twice. So if we change the position of these, and we're gonna go there, and it's gonna be coming from this side. Then our shadow, we'll see how that looks. That was not my intention, but this is something that happens sometimes when you're playing around and then just discovering things by yourself. And these showing up just like that, it's not that cool. So let's go to the effects library and see if we can find any cool, maybe is there any effects that we could use here. Let's see if I can find any shake or something like that to show up, or maybe the vortex could look cool, look good in that case. What if we add vortex to these? although there's a guy in the back too, so I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, I like that part. So what we're gonna do is our dude is gonna get into frame here, and we're gonna like fade these in, but also animate our vortex at the same time. So if I deactivate our other guy right here for now, so we're working with this one, we're gonna go to the effects here, and then we're gonna animate the swirl and also the size and the angle probably at the end too. And actually that's where how it's supposed to start. We want it to end, and we're gonna start it like from here probably, and here it's gonna have to be like the default position, and the size gonna be smaller of like our effect. Actually the size could be smaller, but like let's see. First, the most important is the swirl, so it has to come back to normal, I guess. And the angle has to be 0. That looks fine already. And we're gonna activate both and see how that looks. And then since we have our animation ready there already, we can just move these a little bit closer so it starts walking already. Let's render that effect too. And also, instead of like making it walk straight away, although yeah, we can wait a little bit, we can also add sort of like a glitch maybe, or shake. And for that I think I'm gonna use the Thea one. So we're gonna go, instead of using any of the pre-made here, this is sort of like an optional one. If you have the Thea transitions pack, you could probably use that for these. And 24 FPS, and we're gonna look for the shake. This one doesn't have the previews. There's another one that has the previews here, so we're gonna have to guess, I guess. No pun intended. And here we're gonna just drag these like that a bit over there, and if we hold shift here, whoops, we can make these things a little bit smaller so they're a little bit easier to see. And I want the shake to be around here. Since this is sort of intended to be a transition, it's like it's made in 24 frames, so the effect is actually, the main part of the effects is happening in the middle. So here's when it's gonna sort of like be affected the most, I guess. And we can add this cool trick. If you add a text note, and then we make it invisible with the opacity, and then just render it out. Sometimes it helps to render these, like everything that's at the bottom, so that we don't have to worry too much about it. There. And that's how we sort of like are able to not to avoid the laggy playback if you don't have a lot of resources. Since I'm recording and all that stuff right now. Also, oh, it's been 20 minutes already, so it's been quite a while of figuring this out. But I think I like it's cool to like try these things out at the same moment of like and record it. Tell me what you think about that style. Do you like it? Do you find it more friendly, or do you want more videos to be more like straight, like do this and that? I'm just experimenting a little bit, trying things out. The only problem is that we don't have the motion blur that I liked it into our animation there. So let me see if we turn this into a fusion clip. Then we go into fusion, we're gonna see the whole thing. I just find it really funny. Okay, so what we're gonna do is first, instead of going to fusion clip, I'm gonna go into fusion right here. And I'm gonna copy this transform and I'm gonna deactivate it here. Then I'm gonna take the animation of these out and I'm going to turn it into a fusion clip then. And then we're gonna go into fusion and we're gonna paste that transform clip so we don't have to redo the whole animation. So now we can see the motion blur that's working. And if we want, we can actually, let's offset, not offset, let's do a duplicate of these. And let's see, we're gonna have like 4 duplicates. The offset time is gonna be -2, like that, sort of like an echo. And where's it, merge under, so they're gonna be coming from behind him, and we can play around with the RGB stuff. I like this bluish one, like that, sort of light blue. And let's see, I don't think there's gonna be any motion blur if we don't animate these. So if we want motion blur here, we can activate the motion blur, and we're gonna have to do a little bit of movement animation for these. So we're gonna go to frame 27 and that's gonna be the center. And before that, we're gonna move these a little bit like that maybe. And then we will see how it looks. So let's go back to the edit page and let it render there because I don't want it to eat everything up and then run out of resources. And if you're having a little bit of like hard time rendering it like that because it's taking resources, instead of just like caching it, we can just pre-render it, since I think we're in a good place right now. And we're gonna make it MP4, and then we're just gonna press, I'm just gonna render it here. I guess it's gonna take a little bit of time. Okay, I'm back. So the pre-rendering is done. It took it like 2 or 3 minutes, I think, because of it was like the screen recording and stuff like that happening at the same time. Okay, and what we have here is that clip of the dude coming in, right? But we're not seeing the vortex under it. The reason for that is that it doesn't export, or it didn't export as with the alpha channel. So how do we fix that? We're gonna have to go to color here, or right click. No, let's go to color tab. We're gonna click alpha output, and we're gonna connect the alpha output like that. And then we're just gonna click this magic mask. No, not that. Here. And then we're gonna, where is it? Invert these. Oh, the only problem with that is that our friend has like black shirt, so we're gonna have to try to adjust the I think that's fine because we are able to see it still. Okay, and now we can see our friend again, and we can see the vortex behind. If you want, you can also play around with the vortex and add that same sort of like RGB type of thing, and that could look cool, I think. But it's up to you to play around and see what what you sort of like come up with. So yeah, that is the effect. We were sort of just playing around and figuring things out. If you want to play around or replicate this effect and do it, it will be really cool. Just tag me, I guess. If you upload it, it will be cool to see what you come up with. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, enjoy this style of this video. It's gonna be a little bit longer, but I'm still gonna cut a few parts of it, so it's gonna be a little bit longer than usual. But if you do enjoy these video, don't forget to leave a like and let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are, and I hope to see you in the next video here in SUALVI. Bye.